Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday. It's October the 7th. This will be our chart lesson for today. A couple of things. Um, I didn't trade Friday as we talked about. I took the day off, and then I actually ended up taking the day off too, so I did not trade today either. But I wanted to come in and see what the market did, and looks like we tried to rally out of off these lows from the overnight session, and late this afternoon we sold off and went right back down there again, and overall it's just a large just a large trading range here, and that's what I'm seeing. Of course, I'm seeing all this after the fact, and but the main thing was this main little channel working up here earlier today, and this was a nice channel working up. A couple of great trades. There's a failed second entry short here, so a little bit more aggressive near these highs, but it would have worked. And then we'll talk about each of the trades. I'm going to make it pretty quick. It's actually kind of late, and I want to go ahead and get this uploaded. And of course, I showed the stuff through about 1 o'clock, a little bit prior to 1 o'clock, and there were plenty of pretty good trades here. It got a little iffy in here. I mean, this is just another tighter trading range. This just kind of moved up, and you can see that maybe right across there. Um, so you could have looked at it like that too. I think it fits better down here for kind of previous in the morning, but as the day moved up, you would have wanted to move that up. And we'll leave it there just for now, um, just because it makes it much clearer to see this tighter range across here. And so let's talk about each of the trades, and like I said, I'm going to wrap this up pretty quickly. I've only answered, I tried to answer the emails through Sunday. Anything that came in today, I probably haven't answered and probably won't today, unless it's something critical. If you're just asking questions about the trading today or that kind of thing, I probably won't have time to answer them because I'm limited on my time this evening. I got to get this done and get it out of here. And I'm probably going to be back to trade tomorrow. But I'm going to be in and out again tomorrow, and so I may come back later to do the chart lesson, but I am planning on trading in the morning and trying to be done by noon, and then going and taking care of a few personal things, and then hopefully be back. But I took a long weekend. I needed one. I just needed to break away, and it's good for that in trading sometimes, because if it's like anything. If you do it every day, um, especially if you have, if you start getting bored with it. It's easy to get bored with it once, I really don't want to get into this a long conversation, but, as you do this longer, the thrill of trading kind of goes away, and that's a good thing because that's when you really start to get away from the emotional aspects of it that aren't you'll never completely get past that, but it will, start to get more boring for you. And sometimes you just need a break, and I found that, about every 6 or 8 weeks, sometimes I need to take a 3 or 4 day weekend, and I just needed one. So I took one. I really didn't intend to take a 4 day weekend, but it turned into that. Um, and I've still got some personal things that I need to take care of that, I almost started to say I won't trade tomorrow, but I think I'm going to come in and trade till lunchtime and then step away, take care of my personal stuff, and then come back and finish up for the afternoon. So there'll probably be a chart lesson tomorrow, but just in case it comes in late or it's not there, you'll know why. Um, but I'm definitely going to get this one done and uploaded today. But I'm going to go ahead and go through these trades real quickly, and then we'll go from there. And we did kind of have there was a little bit of a trend line. It's really, really steep. You could have seen it like that, or you might have even just seen it from, let me show you this. I would have it pretty much like that, and then you got the break and you got the retest, and you kind of got a little double bottom, a little higher low, but then this little failed second entry short here that got everybody, and then you were going higher. And then of course you draw this trend line, which this was kind of a shorter term one, and of course you got to be aware of these highs. I mean, this is not really there for the highs. This is there for the support that started forming across here later in the day. You can see that. But this was kind of wide open going up through here, and you had to take this line and see if you could find where it fit. Here was the first swing. If it didn't fit there, you'd need to move it up. but you can see it actually worked there. So you had multiple reasons for this to find resistance here. You had this high where the gap was, and there's an overnight gap in there that we were trying to fill, and they didn't quite fill it, you can see there, but you got a double top, and you came back, and then you got a broader double top, and then we tried it again. We did make a new high, and that's a new high after this break, and then it sold off, and that's kind of what you would expect to happen. So, but let's talk about the trades that we see down here and get through this pretty quickly, and I'm going to get out of here. But you got a new high right here. You're kind of working higher, and you're looking for a retest here. So if you were trading in here, you might have thought about a short, but that's really early, and the market didn't open until right in here. And notice this, you got a first entry long and then a pullback in the second entry long, and it's kind of right off that. Originally, you probably would have had that a little bit steeper. It still works right there, and I actually kind of like it a little better there, and then that moves this up a little better, a little higher, and that actually fits a little better. So I kind of like it off those closes even more. And then so you got a second entry long here. It's off this trend line, possible trend line. If you draw that across those closes, you don't necessarily have to have this here, but you've got this double bottom and then a little higher low and a second entry long. That's a nice reversal. Let me make this bigger. That's kind of hard to see, so I apologize. That's a nice reversal bar, so pretty good place to go long right there. And there's really a double bottom across there. You can see that. And there's that little trap, and it goes higher. Easy scalp. And they came back immediately, and look, they get just enough to get the runners. And look, there's a failed second entry short there, no matter which way you count it. New low, first entry, pullback, second entry, or coming off high, first entry, pullback, second entry. So you had a failed second entry short there multiple ways, and it broke lower first, then went high. When it went out that high side, you could add your order right there. And if you didn't enter there, when it broke above this bar, you might have tried getting in with a limit order. I don't know if it came back or not, because I wasn't here. So, but either way, a nice failed second entry short that gets you in this trade. And this one you could have taken all the way to the highs. And then of course another little two-legged pullback to the possible trend line, shorter term trend line going up through here. Second entry long. You could have gone long above this bar. I would have used a limit order in here on this bar, or you could have waited on a break of this one and then tried a limit order. You might get left behind, but look at that move. They trapped a lot of people right there. And you can tell that's a nice trap, and boy, the buyers came in, and that's the kind of move you love to get. And then notice this new low here, and then first entry, pullback, second entry. So that's a second entry long, failed second entry short there. It's a little more risky because it's up here near these highs, so I drew that one in green. But if you saw it and took it, you had to be thinking that prices are probably trying to come test this high. But, we're coming off this possible higher side of this range right here. And so, there's a good chance it could turn back down and trap people. But all it did was trap people to the short side and just kept on going. And there was really no reason here. Actually, I probably should draw that one in green. I struggle with that one a little bit, but because it's a counter trend trade. But you've got this double top up here, a nice reversal bar. So if you want to be really aggressive, nothing wrong with that, because at some point it's coming back. I think it's risky right there, but I'll draw it in green. It's a second entry short. First, you got a kind of a low there, first entry, pullback, second. It's kind of a two-legged correction there. I don't really like it. I'm going to go ahead and leave it in green. I don't think I would take that trade unless, I just don't think I'd take that trade. I really don't. And then you got a second entry short here, but I didn't like it either. All this overlap. Then you got a second entry long, and even though this worked for a second entry long, you definitely don't want to be going long there. You had the break way down here, and you got a new high, and you should have drawn this trend line here. Actually, you could draw it off the lows first and pull it up and be expecting it there. I don't think that one's worth taking, but when it comes back down here and you find this support and then it turns down, that's kind of like you got a new high, first entry, pullback, second entry. And even though it got enough for a scalp, it's similar to a second entry. Plus, it's coming off that trend line, and you're coming off the highs here, so you got to figure prices are probably coming back down to here. So I think that one was a pretty decent setup and it's easy scalp. You had a couple of ticks to spare there. I probably would have used a lemon order and it looked like it would have worked. Um, and then you break higher here. I like this one for a long because it's a failed second entry short. Notice that new low. They trapped everybody there below those lows. And then you get a first entry short, pull back second entry short, and it barely goes a tick or two, and then off it goes again. And that was the easy scalp. I didn't like coming off this high here. And you know, your second entry short that sets up here is a lot of overlap, really risky in my opinion. I don't really like that setup there at all. It's a good move. It is a second entry short, but you know, I just think it's really risky because everything's kind of been going up, and really you're in this trading range here. So you might have considered it was coming back down here, but it's the ones in the middle sometimes that, you know, that kind of trip you up, and it didn't really look like a trading range across here until we went back up and found resistance there again. So I just think that one, you know, those in the middle, look how flat the EMA is there. I just think it's risky, even though it worked. If you took it, great, good catch, but I think it's just too risky to be thinking about there. Then guess what? You get this is kind of a failed second entry short. Notice the new low, first entry, pull back second entry. And it did kind of work, but again, it's like a failed second entry. And you would have had this down here by now, and that's like a breakout pullback long. Notice how we never came back and tested that breakout area, and there it is. You tested it once, twice, three times. You got a reversal bar. I like that when it's got that little one tick trap. It looks a lot like this setup right here almost, and you know, I like that. And if you had this, it's a failed break lower, a couple of tries to go lower, it couldn't go lower. So I like that one to the long side. And then I like this one to the long side because you got this line here too, and you can see that. And by this time you might have moved it down a little bit since you closed it a little lower. And notice that. And then you bounce off of it again. Look at that. It's like a little two-legged move, but there's the first break higher, but I still liked it. Because it's bouncing off this line. This line's been confirmed several times here, and it confirmed it twice before. It comes actually 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then it goes higher. Fifth time it goes higher, and so I really like that one. And look at it go, boom. And then I drew this one in green simply because it's late in the day. It's 1 o'clock. It could have easily turned down and went higher here. And there are two, I think there are two measured legs here. I didn't measure that, but just eyeballing it looked like two measured legs. And you can see that it went a little bit higher. And of course it's off this median line too. And so, you know, first, you know, we've been down in this lower part and then we got up in there shortly and then we're back in it. So it's two bigger legs up. It's a reversal bar. We found resistance 1, 2, 3 times. This is the 4th time. You can see it looks like a trading range. I think it fits better there later in the day. This is just a failed break lower. And so that's a little aggressive, but you know, now you've also had the possible break of this line and a new high. And you can see, even if you draw this right along those closes there, you still kind of get a break. It's iffy, it's close, but sometimes that's enough, and then off it goes. And then it's back in the bigger range, and we're headed to the low side. And once you started falling here, this should have been a possible target here. But I would have drawn this trend line in case you were still trading. And you can see that trend line. We got a break right there. And it might have been just off the highs of the bars. And if you do it that way, it fits pretty doggone good right down through there. Let's just see. The way I always confirm it is just to get it off the low side and see how it fits. And you can see that's fitting real well right there, all the way down. And you know, that's what I always try to tell people. What I do there, messed that up, didn't I? Let's just make a new one. You know, people will send me their chart and they'll have these trend lines drawn. And just to give you an example, let's take this one right here. They'll have it drawn like so, and you can see that it fits right there. But if you take it up to the top, it's not really fitting real good up there. See, and you know, it's not to say that that's wrong, but when you get it right, it's going to fit real neat on both sides, and you can see that. Okay, sorry, I got interrupted there, but you can see it doesn't fit very well. If you take this line and you try to find the highs, I mean, yeah, it touches there, but it doesn't fit well. Look how mine is touching multiple times on the way up and multiple ways on both sides. You know, it fits better. And you know, once you learn to get it to fit properly, um, you know, it's an art. It takes skill, and you can see this one how it's fitting on both sides down through here. You might have had it a little lower down through there, but you can see the first few swings there, it's fitting real nice. And the first couple swings is fitting real nice. And then you get to break and it comes back down, and look, it actually holds again down here. And so that's one way to confirm your trend lines. Now, people there's not really a good example there on that chart, but you know, I get these charts from people, and I don't want that. And they'll have maybe drawn like that right there, and you can see there's price action off that line, and that one doesn't even fit too bad on the upside. But they'll draw me their line, and they'll have them drawn different on each side. Like maybe they'll have this one like this, and then they'll come down here and they'll have one drawn like this. And sure, price action's fitting in there, but that's not how we're doing it. That's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to find the channel, and there's always a channel there. And if you look hard enough, you'll find it. But you got to know, you know, you got to play around with it. And it may move some during the day, but that looks more like it to me right there. Let's get this line to look exactly like it. And you drag that up, and that fits really well. You got your overshoot, and then you got your break. You move to a new high, and then it started correcting. So that looks better. Look how much better that fits. And you know, every time it comes to the top, see how it got back in, it broke here, and it got back in, runs to a new high, and then it sells off. So you got to play with these lines. And just because you see a bounce off a line you draw, you want confirmation. Like, look how many times we've bounced here. And then you get confirmation up here again. It's bouncing every time. It's not just bouncing once and then moving on, and that's what people will do. They'll see it bounce one time and they'll draw their line there, and then they think they got a good channel, and they don't. Or it may be just touching, they got it close, but they just don't quite have it right. I hope that makes sense. But I'm going to wrap this up. I got to get out of here. I'm going to upload this, and hopefully it'll upload on its own, and there won't be any problems, and it'll be there for everybody. But hope everybody had a good trading day. I'll be back tomorrow later in the afternoon. I'm going to try to trade in the morning. Again, I'm not answering any emails, so if you don't get an answer from an email, you'll know why. If there's something critical, I'll probably answer it, but otherwise you probably won't see an answer to your email. So if you're just asking questions about the trading day, hopefully I'm answering them for you here. And if not, I'll get to them as quick as I can. So, but they're really piled up, I can tell you that. So it's going to take me a day or two to get caught up. I'm getting so many emails. And so if you don't see an answer, I'm not ignoring you. I just don't have time to get to it. But I'm going to wrap it up. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.